Okay, unmuted audio on it. Tell me when you're. Yeah, good.
We are back in session. The board has now returned to open session. The discussion and deliberations during the closed session were restricted to those stated in the motion. No formal action was taken by the board in closed session. All right, first item on the agenda is the Academic Affairs Committee. Dr. Bale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we have all members present. We have several items to discuss, and we have our venerable provost with us to in those items. So,
sure,
Provost Fisher, if you don't mind.
thank you very much. The first item is approval of an academic program suspension, the minor in computer information systems, and Evelyn Thrasher here, Dean Thrasher is here to talk about that.
Sure, yes. So you may remember that you recently, over the past few months, approved both a bachelor's program in data science and a certificate in artificial intelligence and data analytics. With the declining demand for the CIS minor, this allows the AIS department to refocus those resources toward the certificate and the data science bachelor's, with ultimate goal of a master's in data science and a PhD in data science. So just a better restructuring and use of the resources around that program, and just continuing to modernize what they're offering.
Very good. Anyone have any questions?
Make a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Regent Spiller and a second by Regent Curtis. Any further discussion, comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Gary, you have a question, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
The second is approval of another academic program suspension, the AA and organizational supervision, Dean Murphy.
So the AA in organizational supervision was originally known as the AA in business studies, and it caused some challenges for our folks and partners in Gordon Ford related to AACSB, but it was also a holdover from University College, which was actually a holdover from when we had a community college. And so through several iterations of program review, inclusive of our faculty and looking at numbers and purpose of degree, there's really not a purpose for that particular degree program at our institution at this time. There's not a demand for it, and so we're just choosing to close the program. It has no impact on resources, and program closure is consistent with what SACS is expecting for program closure. So announcements have been made, and students are in good stead to finish out the program. We're asking to close it.
Did you have any students to win?
No, we did not. So when we changed the name of it, it was not a known entity. What does organizational supervision mean to a high school? Not much. So not sure what it means to me either.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, entertain a motion for action item 2.
So moved.
CJ, motion,
I'll second.
second. Regent Spiller, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Action item 3.
Great. Approval of a professional and technical writing graduate certificate, Dean Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone. In our Department of English, we see a lot of growth in different areas. And as we look at professional and technical writing, it is an area of growth opportunity for us to be able to train individuals to write towards different acclimates in professional settings and business, et cetera. And we found a lot of interest in this area. We have faculty who are poised and ready to do so. And we think it's a growth opportunity for us in the college.
I would also say it's one of the areas that, as you talk to employers, they would love to have students who come out who can write in those areas, various areas.
Hopefully write something that would be differentiated from whatever the chats or AI produce.
I hope so.
Any questions, comments? Go around.
My only question about that is, kind of on that same point of the ChatGPT kind of thing that's taking over. What are some of the actions that are going to be put into place to ensure that this degree is 100% human generated and not AI? Because I mean, I've seen even in my classes, you can really argue that even if you did do something AI, that I did it myself. Like how can you say this is not me type thing? So, is the majority of this professional and technical writing kind of certification going to be done through like taking class assignments? Is there kind of active conversations taking place to make sure that this is not a ChatGPT will agree? Because I do agree that I think that with the increase of AI, that a lot of employers would be thinking that, man, I would love a student that can actually write for themselves. But is it going to be pretty rigorous to make sure, I guess, that actually happens? Because that's just my one question.
Yeah, yes, good question. Most our programs, of course, academic rigor is always in the top priority. I will say also that ChatGPT and other AI generated platforms are only as good as the prompts that you could write for them. So if you cannot write a prompt that will be in a professional writing setting, then it's not going to generate the kind of product that you need. So I will probably say, yes, there may be a point where we start to integrate the usage of AI in professional and technical writing. I'm not saying that won't happen, but in the beginning, we definitely want to make sure that we teach people to write individually in professional settings, but also if they get to a place, how to write professional prompts to be able to genuinely do it.
I would also add that we've been working on this with CITL and a faculty group across campus for probably almost a little over a year at this point, and we will have a set of guidelines out, and places where it can be used, you will see a set of guidelines that will be used to limit the uses and start to teach people what are the right uses and what are the uses that you can't use, and flow charts and all kinds of stuff. We were working on it just Monday with committees. So we are headed, and hopefully we'll have all that in place as we start in the fall.
Will this be an online certificate or something you have to take fully in person, or it will be like a hybrid?
Yeah, right now we have it, so it's in more face-to-face instruction, but I'm sure that we get more modalities as we treat staffing. But I'll also, going back to the AI point, there are several indicators that you can notice with AI. It likes certain words and certain structure that you tend to recognize as a faculty member to find out if it's generated AI or not, without even using a AI checker.
And I'd just like to follow up on that just a little bit. I've been contacted by employers who are now looking for people who are experts in using AI to do some of these things. Recognizing our role as an institute of higher education. I know Sam was in my class this last term, and we talked about the use of AI, and as we showed him many things, AI is a predictive modeling thing that does probability statements. Got to have the expertise. As an institution of higher education, our role is to educate people to be able to understand what's coming out of AI may or may not be accurate. And getting people past the cut and paste, which we have to do. Understanding we have a technological challenge here, but we actually have to be the leaders in what comes out of this, because AI is just a tool. It may be transformative in how it changes jobs, but we have to be leaders in helping people be in the front of that transformation. So we'll continue to wrestle with that and hopefully take leadership on it.
Well, I think that's where we are. I mean, I think we're one of the institutions that, as you look out there, that have had those conversations for a significant amount of time, and have also added information literacy to that, right? Because you really have to understand to determine whether or not what AI is generated is really real, or even if the references are real, because lots of times the references aren't real and some of the numbers aren't real. So there's really teachable moment is, I would say, when you're doing this, and we all have to be on the same page. So we have spent a year trying to get to there, but we will be there by fall.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion.
Number 4 is the approval of the substance. Oh, sorry.
Have a motion from Helm and
I'll second.
Regent Spiller. Any further discussion or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Number 4 is approval of substance use disorder undergraduate certificate. I don't know if anybody is here, but it's an undergraduate certificate that's designed to prepare individuals with this.
It's me.
Oh, I did. We were just talking in the hall, so I'm on a roll so far.
Yeah. It's no problem, but I do want to share some details. So it is an 18-hour undergraduate certificate. We developed it in response to workforce needs for substance use treatment across our state. As most of you are aware, we are in an opioid epidemic with a few thousand people dying each year of drug overdose in Kentucky. So this certificate will allow current practitioners to come and get continuing education that counts toward their credential with the state of Kentucky, as well as providing education for our current undergraduate students. And those could be from sociology, psychology, any, social work. It's in the social work department, but it could be any of those majors that are related to the human services fields. So I think it really dovetails nicely too. We have a master's certificate in addictions education counseling. And so this can also lead to that. So anyway, I don't know if you all have questions.
Good questions, anyone? Definitely a needed program out there. Too good a presentation.
Yeah.
Glad she was here.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the substance use disorder.
I make the motion.
Thank you, CJ.
Second.
Second, Richard Herbst. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign.
Number 5 is approval of emeritus appointments. We have 13 appointments on the list. All of the individuals on the list have made significant contributions to WKU and to the students and to the ability of WKU to be a quality institution. I won't go through the list. You were provided a list. We will go through the list when we come back into the next meeting. And we will invite the faculty to be here as we always do. And at that point, they can toot their own horn because they know exactly what they did on campus. I'll just introduce them, but all well-deserving.
Very good. We need a motion on the merit. Motion from Regent Spiller. Second. CJ. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right. Thank you, Evan.
I do. A couple of information items have come in before or after this was put together that I think I would like to share with the board at this point. One is I would like to talk about Gilman Scholars. We've talked about them before in the last round, which would have been the round in March. We had 24 WKU students get Gilman Scholars. That's more than all institutions in Kentucky together again. And what you see is our selection rate is 54% as compared to the national selection rate of 21%. So we continue to do a great job. And when you look at year 24-25 for Gilman Scholars, 41% of all Gilmans awarded students went to Kentucky colleges, and we had 43 of the 104. So almost half. So we continue to do a great job. We had 2 Goldwater Scholars this year, which is huge. If you don't know, there were only 5 in Kentucky, and we had 2 of the 5 in Kentucky. And there's only been a total of 30 Gilman Scholars since 1989. So We are doing great. Charles Uland is a rising senior and studying chemistry and computer science is one. And the other one is Asa Ashley, who will become a Gatton Academy, became a Gatton Academy graduate as of tomorrow, I think. So both of them have done a great job. They get a significant amount of financial support to continue on. We've also had I went back and couldn't find a ton of them, which was a DAD Rise. It's a German program where a student gets to go to Germany and work in a national lab on research. And that's really a really great opportunity for the student. And the student is Cole Meter, who will be there, and he will be in Germany for the whole summer. So that's what he will be working on. Additionally, there's some other really cool things that happen. Dental hygiene for the second year in a row had 100% pass rate on their boards, which is great and continues to go on.
Yes.
It's awesome. In addition, I would never leave off the forensics team, which won a national championship for, I don't know, the 175th time, as far as I can tell. I mean, that's a given. Usually when April comes around, they are amazing, and they did another amazing job at the last national championships. And to finish, Zach Serrano in the Department of Earth, Environmental, and Atmospheric Sciences won an NSF career grant. Just to give you some ideas, it's the first ever career grant given to a faculty member on this campus. So amazing. And this is only the third NSF career awarded to an individual or faculty member outside of the R1 in this state. So it's a huge deal. And as people have said, it's the most prestigious award presented by the National Science Foundation. It kickstarts your research into the future, and you are a star. And we are lucky to have them. So those are the information items that came in after we had this put together.
Good. Comments from anyone? I think more than ever, it is worth noting that American universities and the research that's done central to the success of America over the last couple 100 years. And to think that some of that research goes on right here is definitely worth noting and encouraging and continuing.
And exciting to see students who want to still be in that area.
I'm gonna put Dean Thrasher on the spot for just a second. I'm sorry. I think another important thing that we have made an effort to do is bring in outsiders and be as much part of the community as we can. And she recently organized an advisory board. You'll have to tell us how many people, but had your initial meeting with this group that you put together.
Yes.
And maybe tell people briefly just what that was like.
Sure. So we revived our business advisory board. We've had a very active one in the past. COVID sort of put a lot of those kinds of things on hold. We revived the group. We have currently 17 members. My goal is to get us to about 25 so that when not all can be present, we still have a good group. Craig Browning is chairing the board for this year to help us start. We had an excellent spring meeting. We have representation from most industries. We have representation from all over the country, from as close as Bowling Green to California. Most are alum, but many are not, and are truly just business leaders in their industries who are interested in helping us move things forward. So we're in the process of forming some committees around student engagement, development, and curriculum. Those committees will be meeting over the summer, and we'll continue to build our board. So I will put a plug in if you or others that you know are interested in that type of board work and really working hand in hand with the College of Business. I would love to have those names as we continue to grow. And we just ask each member to serve a 3-year term. And so we don't make it a life sentence.
Get an update on that, going to get our attention.
on the building?
Oh, yes, so, they are working in every inch of that building. If you go in, it looks like ants. They're literally everywhere in there. Faculty or staff, the staff will move in the week of July 28th, and the faculty will move in the week right behind them. And then we'll start classes in mid-August. So we will cut the ribbon on September 19th. I think it's tentatively set for 10 a.m., but they were confirming that with the governor's office. So please mark your calendars for September 19th. There'll be lots of communication coming out.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, all good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the business of the academic committee.
Thank you, Regent Bass. Next item on the agenda is finance, budget, and audit. Chair Floyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Howard, I think you have the first four items, so we'll have motions in between, but you can continue on.
So, SB1 is the, accept the filing of the statement of revenues and expenditures for the 9 months, so the third quarter, ending March 31, so the good news, or I should say excellent news, of the third quarter budget versus actual is an improvement of 10.3 billion in margin from the prior year. So that's just excellent work by the entire campus. So I can't really be more thrilled. And I even shared with Chair Brody before we started the meeting. We've actually already closed out April, and our results are still shows dramatic results for the going into May. So we continue to do really good work. So let me go into showing you what total revenue looks like. So it's 91% of the budget as compared to 86% in the prior year. So that's about a $20.5 million improvement, or 7.2%. So looking at that a little closer, if you look at net tuition revenue, which we've talked about many times over the years, that's really the marker that we really focus in on tuition revenue rather than gross revenue. Net tuition revenue is what really shows you what's going on. And that has improved 6.1 million over the prior year. And that's a direct result of improvements in our scholarship model. And so thank you, John Mark. Thank you, Provost Fisher. Thank you, President Cavoni, on instituting that scholarship model. Continue looking at revenue. So state of preparation, we've talked about that. Primarily because of the 4.5% inflationary increase and a $2.2 million increase to offset our mandatory increase in fire and tornado. So thank you, Jennifer Smith, and thank you, legislators, for doing that for us. And then grants and contracts is also higher from the prior year, as we've been seeing in probably the past 3 to 4 years, a continued increase in our Pell and CAP grants. But I think what's really important for our campus as we attempt to move to that R2 goal is that we're seeing our extramurally funded research by our faculty improving by 7.7% over the prior year. Before I move into expenditures, any questions or comments on the revenue? Okay. So as you'll see at the bottom, our expenses are relatively flat from the prior year as far as a percent of budget. If you'll look at actual, I think that's really what you need to turn to. Our actual expenditures are really making good progress as well. So personnel, there's a decline in salary as a percent of budget, and that's basically just a decline in our overall employee FTE. And then if you look at fringe benefits, that's really flat, but what's happening there is health insurance. There's been a big, significant increase in health insurance in the current year that's being masked by a corresponding decrease in our retirement expenses. Then looking at the other direct expenses, again, as we saw on the revenue side,
There's been increases in, again, your federal Pell and your state cap programs. And then, the supplies and, operating, maintenance and travel expenses are all trending, lower than the prior year. And as we've been committed to with continual increases in inflation, monitoring all of this on a monthly basis with all the deans and vice presidents. So any questions on FP1?
Questions or comments? I know you put out a lot of thank you, Susan, but thank you to you and your department too.
Thank you.
If not, I would entertain a motion that we accept filing the statement of revenues and expenditures for the 9 months ended. Motion by Regent Dennis and second by Regent Spiller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, FB2 is the approval of the line of credit renewal. This always gets a lot of interest on campus, and this is simply a renewal of the line of credit that we've had in place for probably the past probably 5-6 years. So this is a request to approve the resolution to renew the line of credit at $10 million, and our line of credit is with our bank, JP Chase. It's important to note that the line of credit would only be used if we had to tap into it. We've not had to tap into it. And so that's what's important. As I've always said, you get a line of credit before you need a line of credit, because it's much harder to get one when you need it than when you don't need it. So, and there are 2 options as far as interest rates associated with. One would be the commercial bank floating rate, or the secured overnight financing rate. So we would typically take the federal funds rate. Commercial, I asked Gary, I said, you're the banker, so typically your commercial rate is going to be much higher than your overnight rate. So that's it on the line of credit.
Questions, comments? Not, I entertain a motion that we approve the resolution for the line of credit with JP Chase. DJ? Second by Regent Spiller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
AFB3 is the standard approval of personnel actions. And these are personnel actions from October through the end of March. So I know that's a long report. We don't do this every quarter now, but any questions on any of that?
Questions or comments on personnel action? Not, I entertain a motion to approve the faculty and staff personnel action. Motion's been made and seconded. I think seconded. Jan made a motion, and I think Melissa seconded. Excuse me. Read the list and read a little informal today. Sorry about that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the final action item is the approval of the 6-year capital plan, 2026 through 2032. And I do have Brian Russell here with us if you have any specific questions on the capital plan. His office is the one that coordinates that submission in Chief of State. So just some background. This was submitted to the Capital Planning Advisory Board by the due date of April 15th. The number 1 priority for our campus in this submission will be the new facility for the Potter College of Arts and Letters. And the plan also emphasizes a lot of strategic capital renewal and renovation of existing facilities on campus and upgrading our campus infrastructure, which we've got a lot of asset preservation dollars, but these are other items other than those. So Dr. Coney, I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, so in the past 2 budget years, we've had tremendous success. And I have to reiterate my thanks to the legislature for understanding the needs of our campuses across the Commonwealth. There's just tremendous distressed assets at universities, and they've made for 2 cycles in a row significant investment that we've been able to use for important projects to make sure that our buildings are taken care of. They also have given us our number 1 capital project requests, which is usually a new building. And so we have had first the beautiful College of Business building we see outside, coming next in the fall, probably of 28, will be the replacement for that building, academic complex. And so next on our list, and you know, we're not going to press our luck too much, Jennifer, but we're going to try one more time to see what we can do. The state budget looks like it's in pretty good shape. We're watching DC pretty closely, and tariffs and everything else to hopefully keep the state budget in good shape. They have cash on hand. And I'm hopeful there's an appetite for both asset preservation and potentially what is a huge project for us. If you look at the request, it's $280 million, which would be significantly more than our largest capital appropriation. But the structure that we would potentially replace would be the Fine Arts Center, Ivan Wilson Hall, which is nearing the end of its useful life with significant issues around HVAC and other structural challenges the building faces. And so no promises. We've got a lot of work between here and next summer. But Jennifer and I will be burning up what's that parkway called?
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass. I don't drive. Goodness gracious, to make sure that we're well positioned. So exciting times. Dean Brown, tell your faculty not to get their hopes up, please.
Any other questions or comments? Not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 6-year capital plans. Motion by Regent Nicholson. Second by Regent West. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And I think you have an information item there.
I do. And this will be the third quarter financial statements for months ending March 31. Just going through some balance sheet highlights. A nice increase in net position and unrestricted net position of 82.7 million and 35.14 million respectively. And our cash is still very strong. Total cash 78.7 million as compared to slight decline from last year of 79.1 million. Most people would say that's relatively flat, but the days of cash on hand remain very strong at 107 days of cash on hand. So as I reminded you, the kind of threshold now for Moody's is 80 days of cash on hand. So we're well above that. And just as a reminder, that item in there that says restricted cash and equivalents, that is for our Gordon Ford College of Business and for our field house project. Income statement highlights, again, a nice increase in net position of 53.7 million. Again, there is the difference between, as we've explained to the board, of how GASB requires that we show that Regent White loves our friends at GASB. So you will see a decline in the statements of net tuition revenue, but that's because they use all forms of financial aid to calculate that net tuition revenue, where most universities that I know of use it. So hopefully we'll get that changed so we can be comparing apples to apples. And again, state appropriation increases in our income statement are primarily driven by the state capital appropriations. So that's our highlights on our third quarter financial statements. And just remember, those are unaudited. Our final statements in the fourth quarter would be those audited ones. And so that's the one information item. I'm just kind of tacking on to that a second information item, kind of like Bud did, late breaking information. And so this would just be a quick budget development update. I know the June meeting is a specially called meeting to approve the budget, but just kind of wanted to provide the board with some updates. So first off, revenue and expense budgets are in the final stages of development. I was out in the hall talking with Ronaldo and Brian, and we really are very much in the final stages. Provost Fisher is currently working with the academic deans on the distribution of subvention and strategic initiative dollars. Some late breaking good news on the revenue side is that WKU's performance in the state performance funding model was exceeded our initial forecast. So that's very good news and provided a meaningful contribution to our overall revenue. And then CPE, thank goodness, is providing us some additional flexibility in tuition setting than in previous years. So those are two good items that came in very late in the process. So I just wanted to let the board know about that. The BEC, our Budget Executive Committee, has been meeting through the entire budget development process bi-weekly. And I really wanted to thank the work of that committee. They've worked tirelessly every other Tuesday at 3:30, right, Dean Murphy? And I really want to give a huge shout out to our co-chairs, Dean Murphy and Bryson Davis, who is our Director of Student Financial Assistance. So the good news from the BEC is that we continue as a university prioritize, as our president is committed to, employee compensation. So through the work of the BEC, they did recommend a 2% faculty and staff compensation pool to go into effect January 1 of 2026. And executive leadership has accepted that recommendation. So that will be included in the upcoming budget. The distribution methodology will be determined in the fall as we typically do. And I guess the best news of all, even beyond the salary increase, is the fact that in June we will bring to this board the first structurally balanced budget without the use of carry forward since that is right, 2005. So basically,
It's right.
yeah. So basically 20 years. So that's. And so finally, we will, as I said, we'll get all of this wrapped up and put a ribbon around it and get it printed out. And we will provide a full budget update or presentation to the board on the 26th. And your materials will be sent out prior to that meeting. So
I could comment on balanced budget, not using carry forward. That has required sacrifice from every person on this campus and leadership from folks who had to make very difficult decisions to get us realigned. And it took some time. It was not easy. And I just want to express my thanks to everyone who made those difficult decisions, were disciplined at the way in which we spent, and really has put our university on a firm and positive financial footing for the future. And so we ain't going back.
So that's all I have.
Thank you, Steve.
I just think that's wonderful. I'd express.
It's great news for the campus. Just
Yeah.
wonderful news.
Well, thank you for bringing that information to us.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
The 2% faculty and staff compensation. I don't understand the compensation.
Well, I think what we want to do is that typically what we will do is after all enrollment is final, probably towards the beginning of October, we'll see how all the revenue is coming in. At that point, we'll make the determination of working with leadership and with the BEC. Do we want that to be, how do we want that to be distributed? Should it be a permanent salary adjustment? Should it be a one-time stipend? All those types of things will be decided, as we look at cash, as we look at tuition revenue. But I think the goal would be for a permanent salary adjustment, but we still want to wait till all the revenue is final.
Like, didn't CPE say that we could go up 5% over 2 years, and we did?
That
We
was
could
your
only do
original,
2%,
and
so we can't do more than 2%.
yes, essentially we can do around 5.7%.
Any other questions? Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Thanks.
On our auditor, Mr. Bruce Wiseman, for
one action item and one information item.
Thank you, Chair Brody. Good afternoon, everyone. So we've got our first item today is an action item for you all to approve our FY26 internal audit work plan. In your printed materials, you'll see the detailed projects. I've just got a summary up here on the slides, but next year we're looking at completing 5 projects, which is pretty consistent with prior year. Something new for FY26 that we're looking at is a work group called the Process and System Optimization Work Group. And I have to throw some kudos to EVP Howard for proposing that and asking me if I would lead that. And the idea is that we put together a group of cross-functional individuals from across the university with varying backgrounds, varying perspectives, and we look at university processes and our systems and how they're working. And most importantly, where they're not working. And then the idea is identify those issues, analyze them, work with and collaborate with the university community at large, and propose some solutions and work to implement them. So if you recall in the past, I've shared with this group internal audit, there are 2 main buckets of work that we do. One, assurance services. Those are the audits that you typically think of. The second piece being advisory services, where it's almost some consulting work. And that's a lot of what this group will be doing. I'm excited about that work. I think it'll be a great impact to the university. And that's a large part of our work plan for next year. The last item up there is we've reserved some time for hotline investigations as they arise. So we're ready and staffed and able to do those as they pop up. Finally, we have a couple of backup projects so that as time allows, we can work on those as we're able. On your next piece of, on your next page in your booklet, we've got where we plan to spend our time. Again, this is very consistent with current year. The biggest change being projects and follow-up time. We have budgeted at 60%. That's down from 65% based on our actual time where we've spent it this fiscal year, where Caitlin and I have spent that. We're a fairly young department. We're working to mature, so we're being proactive in reallocating our time projections as we learn more and go forward. So with that said, I will take any questions you all have or respectfully request your approval for the FY26 audit plan.
Question.
So the backup projects, the first one, rent budget model governance. What is the question here? That one I mean,
Sure. So I think that one would be looking at any governing documents that we have, policies, procedures. How is the ramp budget model? Is it working? How have we designed it? Are there any changes that may need to happen? As I've gone through this process, I've learned that there is, I believe, a work group planning university-wide to look at that in the next coming year. So if we did that project, if we had time, it would almost be a on-ramp to that work for the university of just saying, hey, here's where the procedures are. Are we following those procedures? Are there opportunities for improvement?
Because I'd heard of a work group that was looking at that as well, so I wasn't sure if you were working with them.
If we did this project, it would be, I would think the work would be prior to maybe tee up some of the work for that group. I don't anticipate us getting to that backup project, but if we did, we would definitely work closely with leadership on what we did.
Other questions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the 25-26 internal audit report. Motion by Regent West, second by Regent Spiller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Now for our typical quarterly update. For the FY25 audit plan, it looks very similar to when we last met in February. We've got 2 projects complete, 3 in progress right now. We are near the tail end of the global learning and study abroad audit. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting in our office. We're now working with that department to ensure our understanding is correct and start talking about what recommendations we might be able to make. With the accounts receivable decentralization, we're just continuing to work there. We're moving from department to department, identifying opportunities to streamline operations there, working in conjunction with the accounting team. And then with the College of Education and Behavioral Services, that's part of our rotation of making our way through all the schools and looking at their business processes. We're just at the very early stages of that. So we've got 4 remaining projects. I can promise you we won't have those all done by the end of June. We'll continue to evaluate, are there some of those that can roll off the plan, some of those that we need to keep on. We'll keep you all apprised as the fiscal year comes to an end on our plans for that one. Looking at our time, 2 charts. The right side is our planned time. The left side is our actual time. For the most part, we're pretty close on the smaller slices of the pie. I'll call your attention to the advisory time. It's the light gray one. We've spent 14% of our time there when we planned for 8. And that's a result of people giving us a call and saying, hey, can you look at this process? Help us out with this. Will you serve on this committee? These are things that I think our office should be doing. It helps us get involved with the campus community, make a positive impact that way. And so we've spent more time than we had anticipated. All the other ones are fairly close, but they are a little higher than what we had planned. So therefore, our project time is at only 52% compared to our planned 65%. Otherwise, we're fairly close. Quick update on the hotline. So far this year, we've received 10 hotline calls. That's exactly as many as we had last year. So we're ahead of pace a little bit there. We've closed 6. There are 4 in progress. I'll tell the board, I don't think in those 4 open hotline reports that I need to share with you all today. And we should have those closed out by the end of the month. Since February, we've had 5 come in and we've closed 2 of them. So good activity on the hotline. And I'll encourage everyone, if you have any ethics or compliance concerns, there's my personal information. You can reach out to me directly, or if you want to do so anonymously, there's the hotline information. Our quality assurance review. I mainly kept this slide on here just so you all can keep tabs on us. We had this review done of our department, the audit of the auditor last year. We had 10 action items. We still have 4 done, 3 in progress, and 3 remaining. Our goal is to have those done or mostly done by the end of the summer. So there's just a checkpoint for us, let you all know where we are. Still working on this. In addition to that, one of the recommendations from that review was making sure we talk to the board about the board's responsibilities regarding internal audit and some of the changes that have occurred in the global internal audit standards that recently happened. If you remember in our last meeting, we talked about Principle 6, some of those governing responsibilities. Today, I want to touch very briefly on Principle number 7, making sure that internal audit is positioned independently here at the university. First bullet point, internal audit needs to report directly to the board, to the Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee. Check, we do that. That's in our charter, and I provide an annual confirmation to the board. Those 2. Next 2 bullets, the CAE, that is the Chief Audit Executive, that is me. The second bullet is talking about discussing impairments with the board if I need to. If there is management putting roadblocks in our way of completing our work, I need to be able to have that pressure release valve to share that with Chair Brody if that's happening. I'm happy to present. I've never had an impairment while I'm here at Western. Leadership and management all across has been very accommodating, responsive to our requests. So I have no concerns there. And then finally, with the CAE performance evaluation, the standards require that the board be involved in my annual evaluation. And that process, we do that. I prepare a self-evaluation provided to President Caboni and Chair Brody, and I receive feedback from both of them. So Principle 7.1, we're in great shape. Principle 7.2, CAE qualifications. What all are you looking for in a Chief Audit Executive? The good news is we have that written down in the charter. It's in the job description. When I got hired a couple of years ago, it was reviewed, made sure we had all the right qualifications in there. And what responsibilities am I going to be doing and being responsible for? Again, we have all those documented. in those, in our official documents. So at a high level, from the global internal audit standards, we're operating as we should be. You as a board, I think you are performing your oversight duties. Thank you very much, Chair Brody, for doing the heavy lifting of that work on behalf of the board. And I think we're in great shape. Last section, quick updates in internal audit real quick. Our consultations, we've had 36 so far this year, 15 since we last met in February. We are right on track to meet our goal of 50 by the end of the fiscal year. Last year we had 48, so that's good. In my eyes, that shows that the university community trusts us, reach out, and they value our opinion. So for those of you that are out there, please continue to reach out. We're happy to opine, discuss, brainstorm, those kinds of things. We continue to promote the office and the hotline. We administered the March Madness Bracket Challenge again this year. We had 125 participants. A big shout out to Brittany Wofford in HR. She was our champion this year with a record-breaking 352 points scored. So congrats, Brittany. And as an honorable mention, I got a shout out to Provost Fisher, the strong third place finish. But
Because Houston is played the fall. Come on.
lots of excuses. But, as you can tell, it was a fun experience. It was great. It popped up in a lot of the meetings that I was in of, hey, I'm rooting for this team, that sort of thing. People who've never played before. So something fun, and we won't talk about where I finished. Finally, our office, we've moved. We're still located on the ground floor at Weatherby. We're just now in Suite G06. If you're familiar with grants and contracts accounting, where they used to be located, we're in their suite now. So stop by, say hello, come and visit if you need anything. With that, are there any questions for me?
I would just note that I deeply appreciate having a strong audit function on campus. We did not have that in our first 2 years of learning. So I appreciate the work you're doing. Your team is doing. Glad to have your team back. And I would say, all this was good news, yet it was delivered in quite a dry fashion. When Bruce and I have gone in and team delivered in a class, he's much more entertaining.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and I can try to liven up the presentation next time. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, that concludes finance, budget, and audit.
Thank you very much, Chair Brody. Student Affairs Committee, Regents Dennis.
Well, we don't have, and this is the best committee. We don't have anything to share with you, but I'm gonna call on Sam, and he's gonna introduce a very special person.
So we have Rush Robinson here with us. So Rush is gonna be the new student regent in August. And he's currently the student body president that just got elected. So Rush, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Rush Robinson. First off, I'm very excited to be in this room with you all. I've heard a lot of great things through Sam. So I really look forward to this opportunity. I'm a rising senior here on the Hill. I'm currently triple majoring in psychology, philosophy, and sociology. So I have my hands in a few different places on campus, as well as I'm in the honors college. I'm involved in a bunch of stuff on campus, but I know you guys probably don't care as much about that as you do. But I will be serving in this role in Sam's shoes. So I know Sam's left a big legacy for this role, so I'm excited to follow in his footsteps. But I really do look forward to working with each of you, and I'm excited for this year. Thank you, guys.
Right. One more.
That's it.
All right, the Executive Committee is next, and I want to share with you just a few of the academic highlights for the year 24-25. And time does not permit me to go into everything, but let me just kind of hit the high spots. Our provost kind of stole a little bit of my thunder, but that's all right. Everything is worth repeating when it's as good as we have. We began the year with a record fall-to-fall retention rate of our first-year students coming in at 78.3%. We had the highest fall to spring retention rate in the university's history this spring, with a return rate of 85.7%. I think those are pretty amazing numbers. We continue to be set apart among Kentucky's comprehensive universities, leading in several categories. We awarded over 20% more degrees than the next closest comprehensive university in the state. I think that's a powerful statement to our effectiveness and our student initiatives. In August, we announced that the Opportunity Fund, which had been established in 2018, it had the initial goal, as you all will remember, of raising $50 million. Then it was increased to $100 million, and that has been surpassed. And we have now over $102 million in that Opportunity Fund. What's important about that is not that we raised all that money, but it created 267 new endowed scholarships, and 20,000 students received private scholarship support during the 7 years. So it's for our students, which is what we're all about and why we're here. The College of Health and Human Services received nearly $1.6 million in scholarship from Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education, their investment fund, which again is a wonderful figure. In our community, we got the economic impact through the region and state. We got that information. Statewide in the fiscal year 22-23, WKU added $1.6 billion with a B to Kentucky's economy, supporting approximately 23,996 jobs across the Commonwealth. We have had nationally known authors and entertainers here for various events on our campus. The annual Big Red Dance set a fundraising record of $105,000 for Norton's Children's Hospital. In April, our students raised more than $121,000 for St. Jude's Research Hospital. So our kids are just really working hard on these things. In November, we celebrate the grand opening of our Community Health Science Complex on the South Campus. And additionally, our Center for Applied Science and Health and Aging received a $503,000 grant. Individually and institutional achievements, in March, we completed the SACO on-site visit. WKU was named the top university for veterans by Military Times. Nationally, we were ranked number 37 for veterans and number 3 in Appalachia. WKU's forensic team, again, was named the Commonwealth's grand champion for the 32nd consecutive year at the Kentucky Forensic Association State Championship Tournament. For the 15th straight year, we were listed as one of America's most environmentally responsible colleges and universities. 9 of our graduate programs were named among the nation's best in U.S. News and World Report annual gradation of school rankings. Our student publication collected 2 National Pacemaker Awards, and they celebrated the 100th anniversary publication this last week. And some of us were in attendance for that celebration. The WKU marching band traveled to London to participate in London's New Year's Eve Day. More than 500,000 people attended that parade. And it was a wonderful experience for those students to be able to go abroad and participate in that event. Here again, that's what we're all about. 7 WKU students and recent graduates were recognized as semifinalists in the 24-25 Fulbright U.S. Student Program Competition. 2 of our students were named Goldwater Scholars. Only 5 in the Commonwealth of Kentucky were selected to receive this award. 19 WKU students were awarded a Gilman Scholarship to pursue and study abroad opportunities. Dr. Julia Roberts was named a Conference USA Faculty Achievement Award recipient. Made possible by a gift from Donald and Irene Disney, we established our first endowed deanship, and Dean Boston has been named the College of Health and Human Services Donald R. and Irene S. Disney Dean of the College of Health and Human Services. President Caboni was named the Kentucky Music Educator Association Administrator of the Year. In athletics, our WKU football finished 8-6 overall with an appearance in Conference USA Championship game. Volleyball, our team finished 28-7 in 2024, winning both Conference USA regular season and tournament titles and advancing to the NCAA tournament for the 17th time in the program's history. The Hilltoppers have won 92 straight Conference USA regular season matches. Our baseball team achieved the highest ranking in school history at number 17. Got a crackerjack baseball team. It currently stands 34-7 overall as of April 24. Our women's golf won its first conference championship in the 48-year history of the program. And this I am really proud of. WKU student athletes had a 3.24 cumulative fall GPA, the highest in school history, and all 14 sports programs had a team fall cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher. Somebody is doing a good job. That's just all I've got to say. And I'm proud of that. As far as our campus improvement, we dedicated the Garrett Plaza, which is a beautiful site, as you all know, up on top of the hill. We raised the final beam for the field house. Many of you were in attendance for that. We continue to try to work and improve the campus for the benefit of our students. And that is always in our mind and in our sight. And that's our purpose for being here. President Caboni, I'd like to call on you for any comments you may have.
Well, the one thing missing from your list was the unveiling of the renderings for Cherry Hall. And some of you may have noticed we got some attention for that during the past few weeks. Strangely, absurdly, we're massacring Cherry Hall, trying to erase its history. And what I'll share with you today is what we're really trying to do is preserve its history in a building that's been neglected by our campus for far too long. Now, some of the critiques and concerns that I've seen and been shared with me, I don't know where they come from because they're not based on the renderings we provided or any of the comments that we've made about the renovation. People have said, we're completely demolishing the front of the building. Not true. We purposely didn't show the renderings of the front because it's changing so little. We didn't think people would be interested in the front view. Somebody said we were taking down the statue of President Cherry. We are not taking down the statue of President Cherry. Mistakenly, someone said we're taking classrooms away to put in a Starbucks. There is no Starbucks in the renderings of Cherry Hall. Somebody said that we're taking away classroom space. There is more classroom space in the renovated Cherry Hall than in the current Cherry Hall. I appreciate that folks are paying attention, kind of. Someone said we're dismantling the stairs. When time and time again, we pointed to the marble stairs as a prime example of the elements of the building we're working hard to preserve. So honestly, quite honestly, the conjecture and assumptions people are making about this project, some of them really are just not rooted in reality and not based on the 6 renderings we've shared. But I share their passion for the building. Cherry Hall is our most iconic structure, and we will preserve it as such. And I think it's important. We're going to restore the front windows of the building to their original design. We're going to remove from the 1960s the rear addition to return the entry to the building to the ground floor. We're also going to take away the awful drop ceilings that you see throughout the building, some of which are falling on our students as they walk the hallways. Other awful things like the cheap linoleum tile that's destroyed the pine flooring. We're doing all that and taking the temporary walls that were put in place in the 50s and 60s away. And more than half the work that we're going to do, you'll never see. It's on the HVAC, the electrical, and every mechanical system in the building. Y'all will recall, we asked for an appropriation or approval of $35 million. When we got behind the walls, we realized we could spend $35 million on the building and you'd never know it because it hasn't been taken care of. And so we came back and asked for an increase in that. So I want you to be here and be clear. The marble staircases will remain untouched. Marble and pine will continue to be used throughout the building as it was used in the 1936 original structure. But I'm also going to say this. We have a once in a generation opportunity, and we cannot and we will not restore the interior of the building to a classroom building built to serve the campus in 1936. It wouldn't serve our students, and it wouldn't serve the way they learn today. I want to share an email message I got with you because lots of people have been saying lots of things on social media. And this fellow who has interacted, not with me, but with Beth several times, took the time to write and say, I've had several classes in Cherry Hall, and its current facilities are an embarrassment and are in dire need of modernization. I've actually sat in an undersized desk chair that was unacceptable and created an uncomfortable learning environment. This new plan will combine the memory of the original building with the best current technology and comfort the budget allows. No one who has ever taken a class in the current Cherry Hall will forget its history and should be grateful for the proposed changes, which will create a state-of-the-art, innovative environment to support teaching students in the modern era. And somebody else, a voice of reason, I found the proposed renovations, and it looks like it's mainly in addition to the rear of the building, it's actually taking something off, and updating interior spaces. Front looks unchanged. I think it looks nice. What are the objections to updating and modernizing the building to fit today's needs for the university? Sounds like it will make Cherry Hall a more used and vibrant part of the campus, and I agree, it will. I and the university deeply value the historical significance of the facility in the building and the strong connection to our campus and the community and how they feel about it. So it's important to remember, yes, we had a limited number of renderings that are meant to offer a glimpse into design concepts. And so these are concepts, not final plans. And I think the WKU family will be excited to see the care that we've taken to preserve the unique historical features of the building. We've had a group of faculty and staff working for over a year, and none of these decisions were made in a vacuum. From the beginning and throughout the entire project, our North Star was focused on how to maintain the character of the building and its significance to our community, while also making the upgrades to ensure it will remain our most iconic structure. But doing nothing is not an option. And so you'll see in many ways the outside will return to the original design elements. We're going to honor the building's past and ensure it's around not just for another 90 years, but designed to serve our students. It will remain our most iconic facility. The wood you see is returning to the pine floors in the original design. The front facade is going to remain unchanged. The original windows will be restored. And we're going to restore the rear elevation view to the original pre-60s hilltop egress at the ground level. So the last thing I want to say is we don't redesign buildings or create new structures just to build buildings. I'm from New Orleans. I care deeply about historic preservation. When I arrived here on this campus, some of you will remember, we were going to build a brand new building and wrap it around the Helm Library that was falling apart. I stopped that project and put the money into Helm. And now we have a commons we can all be proud of, and it's probably our most popular facility on our campus. this renovation has to support student engagement in ways that are relevant to today's students, not students from 1936. I know there are other places for students to gather on campus. And yes, the Commons is just down the hill, but we have to create spaces that are sticky, that take our students, retain them in a building, and create opportunities for academic community. And so thank you to our alumni, thank you to our friends who shared their opinions. The university's president would never allow the destruction of our most iconic facility. And so I am certain that you will be proud when this project's over and what we've created for another generation of Hilltoppers to experience Cherry Hill. So with that, Mr. Chair, I think that answers the questions that we've had from a lot of folks, and I'm really proud of the work that a lot of folks have done on the facility. We will make people proud. We're not putting Starbucks in the building. We're not changing the front facade. We're not taking down the President Cherry statue. We're actually honoring the history and tradition of the building in a way that it deserves.
Thank you, President Caboni. Do we have anything else that we need to bring before our committee meeting? Anyone have anything?
I think that this is a good time to remind anyone of the same trains of thought that the demographic cliff is here, and all these numbers we deal with that are showing we're dealing with that quite well with retention rates. But the industrial revolution is over. You know, it's a knowledge economy, and all the jobs out there that America needs and wants require what universities do. And it seems a good time to mention that on the heels of what you said.
It also is a reminder that at a time when the humanities are consistently under attack from many parts of our country, we made a decision as an institution to invest $75 million in their hall.
Thank you for those comments, President Caboni and Regent Bell. Anybody else have any comments they'd like to make? Well, hearing none, I'm going to declare the committee meeting adjourned. Let's take a 5-minute break. We have a special call meeting coming up concerning the approval of the motion. Everybody needs to break. Now it's time to do. What's up?
How are you?
Yeah. Okay, I want to call the special call meeting to order. And Madam Secretary, would you make the roll call?
Yes. Regent Hale,
Here.
Regent Robbie,
Present.
Regent Dennison. Here. Regent Hammonds. Here. Regent Ham.
Here.
Chair Milliken.
Here.
Regent Nichols.
She's here.
There she is. Regent Spiller.
Present.
Secretary. Vice Chair West. Here. Curtis.
Here.
We have full, we have 11.
Very good. The first and only item on the, on this agenda, it falls under academic affairs. Regent Hale, that's your.
This item concerns faculty promotion, initial rank at hire and tenure. Items of great interest and concern for all faculty members everywhere.
Yeah. I would say first, thank you for allowing us to do this. It's very important. According to policy, we need to approve this by May 15th, and that we would not meet prior to May 15th. So we needed to take care of this. And I also think there are a large number of faculty out there really excited to know the answer to the questions. This is probably the most important thing that a faculty member waits for. They do an incredible job and they know what the expectations are. And they spend their time trying to meet those expectations over the weeks and months and years that they're here. And as you will see, we range from people who get their original appointment here all the way to people who get to the point of being full professors, which is a gigantic move for a faculty member on this campus and any campus. And I can say that the 34 people's names who are on this list have made a huge contribution to this institution and will continue to make a huge contribution to this institution as we move forward. So I'm excited to put these forward. Know that the process goes through a committee of faculty members who approve, a committee are the dean, what would be the provost, the president, and everybody gets a chance to weigh in about whether you've been successful in meeting those.
For those of you who remember several years, for emphasis and attention. So the opportunity to create a special call meeting where you look at all of the individuals who've gone through the process, who've been reviewed, and I get to recommend to you, the board, that these folks are worthy of being tenured for our university. It's really one of the most important things that I have to do as president, and it's one of the most important things you all do as a board. So I do believe that pausing, taking time to do it on its own is an important symbol to the community of how important this decision is. And so with that, I recommend that the board approve all of these individuals for tenure and promotion.
So to talk about tenure a little bit, as I did last year as well, just to recognize that getting to tenure and promotion is a culmination of a rigorous process that both from when they initially start, but then also when we start that tenure year and all of the reviews that take place. It is not something that is granted lightly by the people of the department, because as I think I said this last year, if we're voting to grant this to one of the people in our department, we're saying we want to work with this person. We've seen the work that they do, their teaching, their research, and their service meet the standards of someone that we expect will hang around. This is not a automatic thing by any stretch of the imagination, and represents a great accomplishment for these people. So I do think it's important that we pause and recognize, as you said, 34 people, not just for the tenure and the promotion of full, which is a tremendous accomplishment, but also the instructors who are achieving an additional level of recognition as they go from instructor 1 to instructor 2 and other things on here. So
thank you.
great comments and good comments for us to hear. Anyone have any other comments they want to make?
This is kind of a formal question. Under normal circumstances, members of the committee are the ones that are permitted to vote on matters that come up in that committee. I view this as a little different situation here. Although it falls into academic affairs committee, I think this is something that the full board should be able to vote on as opposed to just the academic committee.
We're in full board.
We're in full board mode right now. So,
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear, so there wouldn't be any misunderstanding back.
I think it's also worth noting that I think on every university campus in America, there's always a little bit of that tension between boards, faculty, administration, and some of that is probably good and healthy, but I, for one, certainly recognize the fact that the faculty at Western Kentucky University are special, and that's at the heart of the student experience here at Western, where our students get to know the faculty members. And we have lots and lots of faculty that do a tremendous job and are what make the university what it is. Students are the heart of the university, but faculty are right there with them. And as a board member, I would want the faculty to know that. Hopefully I speak for everyone. We feel that way.
So one additional comment in response to some statewide concerns. Here at WKU, once you're tenured, you're still reviewed every year. You still have an annual review. You still have to submit documents and or participate in an annual review. It is not tenure for life.
I would have to sit on the front row in your classroom to always hear you. That's fine.
Much louder there.
Of course, I would be much younger than mine. I would be at the back. Okay,
You know,
any other comments or discussion?
We reviewed earlier some of the highlights and some of the accomplishments of our students. And those accomplishments are in no small measure because of the efforts of our faculty in promoting and assisting those students and helping them along the way to make those achievements that we heard about in the highlights. So our faculty is top notch and is certainly to be commended. The hard work that they do here for the benefit of our students.
Absolutely. Well said. Any other comments? If not, I'll call for a motion. Motion from Regent Spiller, second. Regent Curtis. All right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Thank you. Do we have any other business that we need to bring up before